welcome in to the Tennessee Pro Football Podcast. I'm Terry McCormick alongside Blaine Kellar. Blaine, yesterday we saw the Titans fall 25-3 to the Jacksonville Jaguars in a game where they really, after the first drive, didn't get much going at all on offense. We're going to talk with ESPN.com's Turron Davenport about some of what we saw yesterday and just the general feel around the organization. Aside from just that, there was plenty else going on yesterday when the Titans took on the Jags.
Yeah, it felt like the Titans were so close in so many ways these past few weeks, then just so far away yesterday against the Jaguars. Scored on the opening series with a Joey Slye field goal, and then not much after that, 0 points. In fact, after that, 70 yards in the opening drive. 188 for the game. Felt like the Titans were a bit more interested in what was happening, what was said on the field, rather than what was happening on it. We're going to talk with Turron Davenport, like you said, after this first break. But first, let me tell you about our friends at the Mint Gaming Hall. Circus Sports, the largest sportsbook in Kentucky, is now open for business at the Mint Gaming Hall in Franklin, Kentucky. With an 80-foot sportsbook screen and stadium-style seating, the Mint is the place to be for the NFL, for college sports, which is pretty wacky right now, and the NBA. You're watching the Tennessee Pro Football Podcast on Main Street Media Television.
The winning just got closer. All new sportsbook, the latest gaming machines, live horse racing, and more. The Mint Gaming Hall, Kentucky Downs.
Winning just got closer.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
Deep in a forest at Nashville Zoo, new creatures here for you to view. Phantoms graced in black and white swing high in trees of dappled light. In rocky crags, tall and steep, small antelopes with nimble feet. A wise old man with beard of white, a sentry perched on stony height. Amidst it all, a hunter lies, with coat of gold and steely eyes. A new adventure just for you. Leopard Forest at Nashville Zoo. Open now.
He shoots, and he scores!
Welcome to the Omni Nashville Hotel. Urban elegance with a vintage touch. Our 800-room hotel opened up in the fall of 2013 with 746 guest rooms and 54 suites.
If you want the latest in weather conditions, be sure to tune in to our Busy Bee Plumbing Weather Report each weekday on Mornings on Main Street. Brought to you, of course, by Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. We will keep you updated on the latest conditions outside, like severe weather, heat, snow, rain, and even hail.
Welcome back in to the Tennessee Pro Football Podcast. I'm Terry McCormick along with Blaine Kellar. Blaine, introduce our special guest this week.
Turron Davenport covers the Tennessee Titans for ESPN. He joins us now on the Tennessee Pro Football Podcast. Turron, thanks so much for the time today. We said it before the break. little bit of fight from these Titans yesterday, just not in the way that you maybe want to see it, with a couple of scrums and scuffles on the field. What do you kind of make of what was said and how the Titans reacted at times with a game that was decided for pretty much most of Sunday?
Yeah, I think it was just one of those things where it's a divisional game and these teams traditionally don't like each other. That's what Arden Key said when he was asked about the whole everything that was happening. And look, you're going to have those fights and things like that, but you would like to see a little bit more fight, just especially from the tackles, going against Josh Hines-Allen. And it's if you could have both fight on the field and after the whistle, then sometimes that's a good mix. But when you have it just on one side more than the other, it's not good.
Turron, you're one of the best X's and O's guys in our media corps. And I don't think that's any secret to anybody. I think, you watch more film than most of the rest of us do. And you seem to have, that knack for figuring out, what's supposed to happen on a play and why things break down. I'm going to throw something out at you about Cam Ward, not just from yesterday and what I saw there, but also just kind of the entire season. I think, and I don't put this necessarily all on Cam Ward. I put a lot of this on the philosophy and the coaching staff. I think that after the year they went through last year, where it was clear that Will Levis and to a lesser degree Mason Rudolph were a little bit over-aggressive in the passing game, and it resulted in 21 interceptions between the two of them. That I think the Titans coaching staff and their philosophy overcorrected a little bit when they drafted Cam Ward and the way that they wanted to go about developing him, because Cam had some of that same reputation in college of being a gunslinger and a guy who didn't mind taking chances with the football. But we've seen very, very little of that in the way that he's been guided through 2/3 of his rookie season. You've seen it occasionally where they told him in desperate situations, let it go, let's see what you can do. You saw it second half against Seattle. You saw it the last drive against Houston. You saw it fourth quarter in Arizona. But other than that, it's been a very controlled, calculated environment that he's been forced to live in. Some of that's out of necessity because the offensive line and the run game are not very good. The pass receivers are not exactly what you would say are up to NFL standards, so there's not a lot of guys making a lot of plays for him. But it feels like to me that they have overcorrected and really are risking stunning his growth this year because they are too bent on protect the ball. You've seen it. 6 interceptions in 12 games. Fantastic. But the flip side of that, not aggressive enough, 7 touchdowns in 12 games. What say you?
Yeah, I think really what you have is a case of a guy thinking too much. And I always liken it to this. The first time I drove to the facility, it took me probably about 26 minutes, right? Because I didn't really know the route I was going. I wasn't familiar with it. I couldn't drive as fast as I normally would just because I was trying to fill it out. Now I'll get there probably 22 minutes, right? Because it's a familiarity. And I think that's the big thing for him, where he's playing and he's thinking too much. And you see it a lot of times where he'll see a guy open and you see him pump fake it and then just not throw it there because he just doesn't necessarily believe at times what he's seeing. And there's that hesitation because he's thinking too much. And also you got to look at the whole mechanics thing that's being worked on. It's just a lot going on for him right now. And it's not an excuse. I'm just saying that that's a part of why, you see some of the struggles. But then, as you mentioned, those moments where it's like, hey, you got to make a play. Just do something. And that's when you see the Cam Ward that was at Miami, Washington State, and Incarnate Word. That's the one that's coming to the surface. And so to me, I think the main thing is just finding a way to just let him play football. And if he makes the mistakes, okay, you know what? You probably shouldn't have thrown it there. I get why you went there. But I like the fact that you were just playing football. And if you remember, one of the things that he said was when he could play football the way he plays football, the league is going to be in trouble. So he kind of told you really what's going on.
Cam Ward went 24 of 38 yesterday with 141 yards. When you talk about him maybe second guessing himself, did you see that on the 4th and 18 play in the fourth quarter where he pitches the ball back to Tajay Spears? Or is that just an instance of him being uncomfortable late in the game there? I mean, that play was doomed from the start, it felt like. What did you see there?
Yeah, I mean, 4th and 18, it's not really much you could do anyway. But I was looking down, just kind of remembering that play. And, I mean, there was pressure. And he had to get the ball out of his hands. And he figured, okay, Tajay Spears has a better shot of getting that first down with the ball in his hands than I do. So he got rid of it. And I think it's I don't know. Yesterday's game, if I was the quarterback, I'd have been very frustrated because, I mean, let's face the facts. Josh Hines-Allen was having his way with both tackles, and they were even getting it. Austin Johnson got a sack early in the game. So it just, the O-line failed him. His receivers failed him with some of the drops. He failed himself with some of the overthrows and off-target throws, and the coaching staff failed him too with the just lack of having him ready for this game.
Turron, I want to ask you this. There were some comments from Jeffrey Simmons saying that the culture needs to change, that when they hire the new coach, that, this guy needs to come in and, fix a lot of the attitudes and things like that. You saw some frustration from Arden Key. He didn't really want to go into, talking about it. And even Peter Skoronski, who, said it's very frustrating right now, the way that this offense is going. Have some of the leaders on this team, because Cam yesterday said he would have went for the 4th and 3 all day long. Do you feel like some of the leaders on this team are checking out on Mike McCoy and his conservative style?
I don't mind Cam Ward saying that. I don't mind it at all. I know some people made a big fuss about it, but we want the man to get up there and lie. And that's the catch-22 of all this. Because if he says, oh, well, that's the coach's decision, when the press conference is over, we all look at each other and go, man. But then he says this, and now people critique him. I don't think the 4th and 3 going for it, I don't think that was him going against the coaches. I think he still supports the coaches, and he's just doing what he's asked to do. Now, Jeffrey Simmons, his comments, they stand out, right? Because he said, we need someone who's going to lead this team. The culture and a lot of things need to change around here. He ain't lying, because you look at this organization, 4 games in the last almost 30? So it's very clear that something needs to change. I don't know that the guys are necessarily turning on Mike McCoy as much as they know he's not getting the head coaching job. Like, they're not stupid, right? So I think it's just they're bidding their time, so to speak. They're playing these last 5 games, trying to put good film on good play on film, and just letting the chips fall where they may.
It's challenging for I guess all parties involved too, right? I mean, just knowing that there's an expiration date on this staff. I mean, how often are the players going to be sticking together and listening and trying to buy into what a coach is saying? And how bought in are the coaches going to be to these players when they both know that they're not going to be there in a few months?
Yeah, to me, what this situation does, and look, each player, they're their own LLC within an umbrella, under an umbrella company, right? It's like Disney that has ABC and ESPN, et cetera, et cetera. They're each their own entity. And I think in this case, with how this is, it puts an emphasis on that, because as a player, you're like, yo, I got to put good play on film, because if I'm not here, I want to be somewhere, right? If you're Chig, that's what you're thinking. Like, hey, man, I got this contract due. I need to ball out, right? And as a coach, you're like, think of Denard Wilson. He's like, yo, man, this was my DC shot. Now I'm working with this nonsense. I got to try to put something together to make it happen so that I could get another job next year. So it's like everybody is all individual mercenaries, right? Mike McCoy is stuck. What's he going to do? And then you look at Organzi, he's probably telling them, hey, look, we need to play the Marcus Harrises. We need to play these guys. We got to see what we have, because we want to get a full evaluation for when it's time to draft. and add to this roster when you're not here. Mike McCoy, Denard Wilson, Nick Holtz, you know what I mean? So it's all just like an individual type of situation that's supposed to be like this, and it's just going like this because everybody has to do for self. That's really what it boils down to.
Self-preservation. You're not wrong,
Yeah.
And the thing of this is too, we've seen this has been one of those anything that can go wrong years has gone wrong. And even last night watching Sunday Night Football, there's Traylon Burks making the catch of the year from Marcus Mariota, a guy that, two guys that you couldn't wait to send out the door. And here they are on Sunday Night Football showing off, Yeah. I mean, and here's the thing too. And you, TD, you and I have had this conversation many times. There is a portion of this fan base on Twitter and whatnot that's very toxic, very, negative. And what happens this week when, through no fault of his own, if Shedeur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns beat the Tennessee Titans and Cam Ward, as well as I do, it's going to get to deafening levels of volume around all that. Plus, and it's not going to be, it may not necessarily be anything that Cam Ward has to do because Shedeur Sanders is not running away from Myles Garrett all afternoon.
Right. Shedeur Sanders isn't going against that defense over there, and they're good on all three levels. You know what I mean? So don't get it twisted. It won't shock me it would shock me if the Titans do win that game. And I mean, look, I don't know how they're going to score points against that defense. You look at what happened against Josh Hines-Allen. He reminded me that there used to be this club in Philly, right? It was called Club Gotham. And I remember if you acted up, you were getting yoked up like this and escorted out of the club. Josh Hines-Allen was one of those. He reminded me of one of those bouncers yesterday because he was escorting both J.C. Latham and Dan Moore completely out of the club. He said, hey, look, you're not allowed to wear Timberlands in here. You can't wear T-shirts and no blue jeans or sweats. You got to go. And that's what he was doing. And so you figure him being able to do that, imagine what Myles Garrett is going to do. So, yeah, it's going to be tough sledding for Cam next week.
One more for ESPN's Turron. Davenport on the Tennessee Pro Football Podcast. Tony Pollard picked up 36 yards on his first 3 runs yesterday. He finished with, I believe, 60. So it kind of fizzled out after that. Saw some signs of life, but I wanted to ask, since Brian and Bill Callahan have left the building, how much has this Titans run game regressed, you feel?
I mean, it's regressed. It's the worst in the league, man. I mean, at one point, I don't know I know the average is lower now, but they were averaging at one point 2 weeks ago, 78 yards a game rushing. A whole team, 78 yards? Come on. And it just amazes me. You mentioned the first drive. Hey, things were cooking. Corey Levin was blocking his behind off, man. Hey, he was balling. And to get away from that, I don't get it. I don't get it. And that's what I'm saying when I talk about, hey, this coaching staff failed Cam Ward yesterday. You know what I mean? They failed. You had 71 yards or 70 yards on that first drive.
Yeah.
You ended up with 188 yards for the game. Help me understand that. And I get the fumble, right? And it's 15-3. It's a 2-score game. You're running the football well, balance it back, get your defense off the field a little bit after you just gave the ball back to them, after they allowing a touchdown, and run the ball, right? Control the game a little bit. But we saw what they did, and it's just been, that's the story of this whole season. It's uncomplimentary football.
Yeah, to back your thought there, 2 best things you can do for a young quarterback on offense. 1, run the football. 2, have a safety blanket tight end or slot receiver that he can find on 3rd down and manageable so that he can move the chains. And they don't do either of those things well.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Gunnerhelm, Chig, those guys could be safety, but how often are they in 3rd and nice situations? Very rare. You know what I mean? So it's just, and then you look at the first drive. Like we're sitting here talking about the first drive, like it was good. It ended in a field goal. There's one team in the NFL that hasn't scored a touchdown on the opening drive. You know who that team is?
We've watched them all year.
Turron, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate you guys.
We're going to take one more break here on the Tennessee Pro Football Podcast. When we come back, give you a very declining stock market crash on our Titans stock report. Stay tuned.
The winning just got closer. All new Sportsbook, the latest gaming machines, live horse racing, and more. The Mid Gaming Hall, Kentucky Downs.
Winning just got closer. He shoots, and he scores!
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
Deep in a forest at Nashville Zoo, new creatures here for you to view. Phantoms graced in black and white swing high in trees of dappled light. In rocky crags, tall and steep, small antelopes with nimble feet. A wise old man with beard of white, a sentry perched on stony height. Amidst it all, a hunter lies, with coat of gold and steely eyes. A new adventure just for you. Leopard Forest at Nashville Zoo. Open now.
Hi, I'm Joseph Burgoyne, Chef Tornado of the Omni Nashville Hotel. Come see us at Kitchen Notes.
Spring Hill Sweets, Iron Steakhouse, and a top-notch horse track race. Check out the Mint Gaming Hall in Franklin, Kentucky, proud sponsors of our show, just north of Nashville, off I-65 North Exit 121. Finally got a transition right here, Terry. A little bit of technical difficulties today, but we're back on the Tennessee Pro Football Podcast to talk a tanking stock draft. Tell us where you're at. Do you have any positives, any ups through our stock report this week?
Ooh, it's few and far between. I mean, I guess Cedric Gray had 9 tackles and Joey Sly made his only field goal attempt to provide all the scoring yesterday, but that's about it. Everything else, I might, give a shout out as Turron did to Corey Levin filling in for Lloyd Cushenberry at center. And he held his own and did pretty well there. A valuable backup guy and a great guy in the locker room. I'll give a stock up to Corey Levin for his work filling in for Lloyd Cushenberry, because it did result in 60 yards for Tony Pollard on the ground.
Yeah, patchwork offensive line yesterday with Lloyd Cushenberry out and J.C. Latham continuing to struggle. Gave up 3 sacks for the game. Cam Ward was under pretty consistent pressure. But if we're searching for some sort of up here, maybe that's a little bit of some signs of improvement, some signs of life on the offensive line. Maybe a little shout out to Van Jefferson. His Ravenwood Raptors are playing in the state championship this week. He caught 3 passes for 20 yards. That's not necessarily a stock up, but that's where you're at with a 1-11 team. Right?
Yeah, that's kind of where it is in a nutshell. Not much contribution from anybody yesterday when you produce 141 yards through the air and you have 188 yards net for the game. That's not getting it done. The bad thing is that's like only the third lowest output of the season. And it's also the 7th game this season where the Titans have lost by at least double figures.
Lots of downs to hand out here. I'll start with Kevin Winston Jr. Gave up a pair of touchdowns that allowed the Jacksonville lead from the start. Him and Marcus Harris, I know, Jalen Armour-Davis is out yesterday, so that causes some questions in the secondary, maybe some miscommunication, which is what happened with Harris and Kevin Winston to start. The second score, just no one there to cover for the touchdown. So Kevin Winston Jr. has been pretty promising since he came back from his injury as a rookie. Sunday was a step back.
Yeah, and having him play the nickel, which he had done once before, the first game he was out there and really got his feet wet on the defense. But I think I would have felt better with him playing the deep safety and maybe Amani Hooker coming up and playing the nickel, because Hooker has had experience doing that in the past. And I get it that the secondary is very thin right now. You've got, they've traded away Roger McCreary and Jarvis Brownlee. L'Jarius Sneed, his time is done here. He's injured. Jalen Armour-Davis, now he's injured. So, you're pulling guys off the street and off practice squads and asking them to come in and fill roles on this team. And it's a struggle. It kind of is what it is. Another stock down. I got to give most of the wide receiving core a stock down. Alec Eilmanor had a bad drop on 4th down. Had another ball where he looked like he and Cam Ward miscommunicated on. And just in general, somebody needs to step up and make a play for Cam Ward here. His old buddy Xavier Restrepo finally did when he got an opportunity late in the game, caught a 15-yard pass, and then lo and behold, suffered an ankle injury on the play. We'll find out more about his status later today. Just all the way around, just anywhere you want to turn and, anywhere you throw on the dartboard, you're going to find a negative out of Sunday's game.
I know that they wanted to probably get Alec Eilmanor a little bit more involved after he was injured the past few weeks and not able to show some positives like he had at the start of his rookie season. I thought it was concerning. Chimere Dike only gets 2 touches on offense. He gets an end-around sweep that goes nowhere, and then he gets a 1 catch. He had another target, I think, at least a few for the game, but not a lot of involvement for the guy who's kind of been relied on most for the Titans offense in the last few weeks.
Yeah, and, you need somebody to make a big play. They didn't have a play longer than 16 yards, running or passing yesterday. That's not getting it done. And, we talked about, the check downs. You can't average 3.7 yards per attempt and expect to do much. And it was just too many dump offs and 4-yard passes. And I get it. You want to take a profit and not take a sack. But at some point, you have to challenge the defense and go down the field, throw the ball 15, 20 yards, 40 yards in the air, see if something good can happen. Maybe a guy makes a catch, maybe a guy, gets a pass interference call, sets you up in a position to make a big play and turn it into something. But 4-yard dinks and dunks, can't do that for an entire game and expect to have success.
I think Cam Ward kind of said it in his press conference too. What do we have to lose at this point? He spoke that more on the 4th down and Mike McCoy's decision to kick a field goal there. But why not try some deep shots, especially when you're down that much that quickly? Well, close out with this thought. Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders this week. We talked with Turron Davenport briefly about that. We feel the Browns are going to win, but do you think that Shedeur outplays Cam this week?
That's the question right there. I mean, if he does, and there's a good chance he will, because like I said, he won't have Myles Garrett chasing him around. If he does, then there's going to be all kinds of panic setting in Titans Nation.
Browns and Titans,
not internally, but among the fans.
Browns and Titans coming up this week. Be sure to catch our coverage on Main Street Nashville and TitanInsider.com. Thanks for watching the Tennessee Pro Football Podcast.